Baldy, Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Ay, 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 Baldy, Baldy. Oh, he likes meats and football. Oh, Baldy.
There he is!
Oh, dude, I gotta. Yeah! Bow down, bow down. Yeah!
Morning, guys. Morning.
Morning. We played
How's
that
it feel?
clip. We played it. We've
Yeah.
been talking about it. We talked about your words. And what always stood out was just how matter of fact you said it. Like, they're the better team. That's that.
Yes. Well, that's honestly, because like every single season is it's just this winding road. And no team starts week 1 and is the same team in week 18. They're just not. They got to go through some adversity. Every team does, good or bad. You got to overcome some injuries. Every team does. You just got to figure out who you are and what you want to be. And after you watch 18 weeks and you get to Sunday night, January 5th, and the playoff seedings come out of the 14 teams, and you just look at it, you go, all right, I've watched all 18 weeks. I've watched every game, every team. At some point, you just go, I know what I'm looking at. I know what I see. I see a dominant defense. Now I didn't know they were going to take the ball away 13 times in 4 postseason games. That's going to help your chances. Ridiculous. And you're going to get a couple of pick sixes and the things that they did. But I thought this was the best team. This was the best offensive line. This is the best overall talent in the league. I couldn't find a weakness on this team. If they wanted to say Jalen Hurts is a weakness, fine. But I kind of have a much better feel about Jalen than most teams do, and most people do. I mean, he threw the ball 22 times yesterday, just like he had been doing on his 14-0 run on games that he started and finished since the bye week. So I was matter of fact about it because that's exactly what I believed.
I mean, it was spot on. And the performance last night, Baldy, bring into historical perspective, the 85 Bears dominated Tony Eason and the Patriots.
Yes.
Seattle dominated Peyton, who was older
Yep.
at the time.
Yep.
This was
The Ravens dominated the Giants in Tampa.
Right.
Yes. I mean, those 3 games stand
Brad
out.
Johnson was the quarterback. This was the Eagles dominating Patrick Mahomes in his prime.
Yes. And a team going for a three-peat, and a team that basically lost 1 game all year. This might be the most dominant, and you look up in the third quarter with 34 seconds to go in the third quarter, and it's 34-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the first half, they had 20 plays. They didn't gain 40 yards. It was every bit as dominant as any of those 3 teams you just mentioned.
And here's the thing. It was amazing, right? You start to look. I remember at halftime looking and looking at the box score going, wow, it's amazing. Dotson is their leading receiver.
Yeah.
Barkley's getting stoned, right? And you go, oh, my God. Like it's such a dominating performance from that defense that, directly leads to 2 of the scores with the pick 6 and the one that you got right in the red zone. Like, Mahomes never looks like he's pirouetting. He's looking like he's got happy feet. When do you ever see Mahomes and Andy's sitting there dumbfounded with no answers?
Not just that, which is really incredible for Andy not to have answers. And he's writing all his notes down on his play sheet and the whole thing. I saw Mahomes last night for the first time sacking himself, like walking right into sacks. He has got the greatest pocket awareness of any quarterback, maybe beside Brady, of all time. And here he is sacking himself. He had no trust. And it's not like Vic blitzed once. In fact, when the video comes in, I think I'm going to show that it was a front 4 rush on every single pass that Mahomes attempted, which was 38 dropbacks last night. I don't think they blitzed once. It was a 4-man rush. And they screamed off the edge Josh Sweat, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. I mean, every guy that they threw in there last night was effective. And Mahomes looked like he'd never seen a four-man rush that had a little bit of heat on it. Like it was so dominant. And then, when you looked at this defense, we talked about Cooper, we talked about Quinion, we talked about there was no weakness in the addition of Zach Baun. There was no weakness in this defense. And so it showed up, for the first three quarters last night. And I mean, they could have been celebrating there, after 45 minutes. Yeah, I mean, they get the touchdown to Worthy, whatever. But I mean, it was just, I hadn't seen anything like it. I thought they'd play well defensively. I could never have predicted that kind of performance.
Baldy, they're the Chiefs and Mahomes throughout the season. They're never out of games. When did you know it was over?
Well, they couldn't get a first down. You can't get a first down. It's over. Like they couldn't put a drive. They couldn't convert a third down. They weren't even close to converting a third down. Even the throws to Kelsey were so far off. I mean, it didn't look like it was an easy play to be made. I mean, they ran the ball 3 times for 3 yards in the first half. They didn't feel like they could run the ball. So they dropped back and threw it. They couldn't convert a third down. I felt like it was just, and probably Cooper DeJean's pick 6 probably put that game on ice for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Bo said. The sidelines of the Chiefs kind of felt like.
Yeah, we had the NFL Films guy was on the Chiefs sidelines and said after the Cooper pick, it was like they knew it. Like you could see they knew it, and you could see Andy. He early looked worried, right? And you could see his face going, like, how do you? There's no answers. You can't scheme that kind of protection when it's jailbreak for 4. What do you can't do anything, and you can't do anything. How about Carter? Double, triple. He's still getting pressure. He's still getting push, and he's opening up everything for everybody else on that line.
He is. He's on an ascendant. He's ascending in the second year, like very few players have. I mean, if you want to start, I'm not going to start talking about Aaron Donald. There's only been one that we've seen, but he has tools that Aaron never had.
No.
Now, Aaron was an elite pass rusher, and he was an escape artist. But nobody that's playing in today's game has his kind of power. I mean, and his kind of violence. That's what I love about him. I mean, I don't care that he's hitting Mahomes in the face. I don't care that he's taking Tyler Biadasz and knocking him out with a Tyson punch. I don't care. And if he gets penalized for it, I don't care.
So what?
Like that guy plays with a sense of violence. And the thing is, like he's got the knife in his hand and a smile on his face. It's fun for him.
Yeah.
That's what he enjoys.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that level of violence being displayed in this league. They kind of stripped it from this league. But even yesterday, I saw him take a shot at Trey Smith. Like just nobody caught it. Trey Smith tried to bounce back. Trey Smith's a beast. But he doesn't back down from anybody. And he sets the tone, I think, for that whole defense.
He does. I mean, they're just so strong, too, up the middle, man. With Baun. How about the game Baun played? And then Cooper.
Every game.
Oh.
I've never seen a more consistent linebacker in this business. I mean, you go back to Luke Kuechly and, you go through the list of all the guys. I mean, he's as good as anybody that's played this game. I mean, anybody at that position. You go Fred Warner, you go Roquan Smith, pick a guy. And you tell me if anybody's been better than Zach Baun in 21 games. Like that guy plays every snap. He played all but one snap last night. He plays every snap. He fills up the stat sheet like nobody else. The guy's an amazing, amazing player.
He is. He's tremendous. Like that defense, I think back to it. I go, not for nothing, but what Spags did on defense was right. Like he went and he took away Barkley and forced everybody else to try to make plays. And the defense put the Eagles offense in great field position and tilted the field. And that's the game, man. And that's, again, I love defense. And so when that kind of performance had just had me geeked out, man. They just flew to the ball. They tackled.
Well, the thing that, in today's game, like tackling makes you nauseous. the way teams tackle. It just does. Teams don't wrap up. Teams just throw their bodies in there. They don't leverage ball carriers. They don't smack you when they get a chance to smack you. Like, this is old school. Like, if Buddy Ryan was around, he would champion this defense the way Reggie and Seth and Clyde and the guys, Eric Allen, like those guys, every one of those guys, Andre Waters, like they would love the way this defense plays. I mean, if Concrete Chuck came back and was on the sideline, he'd be leading the cheers the way this defense played. Every single guy in Philadelphia history that was a great defensive player would love the way this team plays defense.
And in many ways, they're a Philadelphia football dream, right? We love defense in this town. We love a great running back. We love a quarterback who's not, all about himself, right? Like
never. That guy never is doing this.
Right.
That quarterback never does that. No, I mean, I don't know how he stays that cool. I really don't. I don't know how he just eliminates emotion, even in the post-game stuff that, they're asking questions and like he hears everything. he uses it as fuel. He never misspeaks. The guy, and everybody said, okay, if you want to go do everything you can to take Saquon away, can Jalen go beat you? And he beat you. Even the interception was better than any punt. It was 3rd and 10, whatever. Like the interception, all right, his second in the last 15 weeks. But even the interception, they get the ball at the 2-yard line. I mean, it's actually way better than a punt because they ended up getting great field position.
Well, it was interesting about the afterwards. He huddled with, I haven't seen this a lot, that he huddled with his O-line and they had the iPad out and they were going over the projections.
Yeah. Well, you always want the quarterback to be, hanging with your offensive line. I've seen, when Jalen wants to really work out, he goes over to Lane Johnson's house.
Yeah.
And that's where he does his heavy lifting because they don't really, I don't think they're crazy about him doing his deadlifts or whatnot. But I mean, look, they perfected the tush push. They'll probably change the rule now that the Eagles won a Super Bowl. They'll probably take the play out. But nobody else perfected it like Jalen did in this Eagles offense. There's a way to there's a reason why and I might break it down today, but there's a reason why they're so good at it. And a lot of it, you watch Buffalo try to do it when they couldn't make a 4th and 1. Their linemen are literally leaving their feet. You watch Mekhi Becton, Lane, Malata, those guys never leave their feet. Their feet are in the earth. They're gaining inch by inch by inch. Like as soon as the knee hits the ground, your power's over. Yeah. Like they understand the tech. And believe me, Stout is hard on them about it, really hard. And so there's a reason why. And yes, Jalen is stronger, as strong as any quarterback in this business. And he does, they do push from behind really good. But, they perfected that play. The offensive line protection yesterday was phenomenal. Again, even when Mekhi went out and Steen went in, I mean, Chris Jones had nothing to do in this game. Like I see Chris Jones go over Lane Johnson one time last night, and Lane Johnson went short set on him and stoned him. He didn't get off the ball on him. The guy's the best offensive lineman since Anthony Munoz, man. He's in a league all by himself.
Last thing, and we'll dive deeper into it once you watch the film and the whole thing.
Thanks, Coach.
But
Thanks, Coach.
I wanted to just celebrate with you because you called it, man. You called it. But last thing, Sirianni, right? Like we've gone, 25 minutes just BSing.
Yeah.
And what do you make of Sirianni and what the job he did? Put that in perspective from a football standpoint.
Well, the first thing is they did address the collapse last year by changing coaches.
Right.
They didn't want to lose Vic Fangio last year. He went to Miami. They had him in the building the year before. They knew what he's about. You go get Kellen Moore. He's the head coach in New Orleans. Like you go get Clint Hurt to coach your defensive line. Every one of those guys improved. Nolan Smith is a star, right? Jalen Hunt coming out of what? Houston Christian? Like you watched that guy play last night. That guy's going to be a great player.
He is.
They probably lose Josh Sweat is a better player today than he ever was. So you see player improvement. That's number one. But for however Nick does it, and I know he's kind of a clown sometimes, and I understand all the stuff, the antics, whatever. That guy's got the pulse of his team. They respond to him. And he really doesn't care what the noise is. There's always going to be noisy in Philly, but the outside noise from the national media, whatever, like he honestly does. The team responds to Nick. They just do. And they've won more games than anybody over the last 4 years, or close to it. And he took over a 4-11-1 team and had them in the playoffs, and they're doing it with the quarterback that was the 53rd pick in the draft, and he's the MVP. Like what I love about Nick's team is I see player improvement. Like how he can go get all these guys, he can draft all these guys, but and however they do it, because you go to practice, honestly, he's pretty player friendly, but you're seeing player improvement. Obviously, stout, but this defensive line, everybody improved. The secondary played airtight football. I love the fact that you see player development under Nick.
Hey, Baldy, you're a handsome guy. You put out a picture this week. You've never, ever, ever looked better than the photo you put out
when
over
he
the
put
weekend.
his old uniform on.
He got the old green and white on.
I just pulled that one out of the. Oh yeah. I felt it. I just thought, you wear the wings, you play for the Eagles. There's a reason why you set up shop in Philly, South Jersey. Like you're a sports guy, you're a football guy. You want to be in a football town. I could have easily moved to California, to Florida. I like Florida, but honestly, I wanted to build my brand in a Philadelphia Eagles town. And I just thought like that's the way to show the respect. I mean, I know it's Kelsey's number. I don't want to take anything away from Jason, but somebody else wore that number before Jason. I just wanted to show my respect for all the Philly fans out there this week because honestly, it's the only reason why I stayed was the fans and the Eagles. And there's no team that means more to their city. And that's Pittsburgh, that's Buffalo, that's any great football town. There's no team that means more to their city than the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's why I stayed. That's why Jaws stayed. That's why we all stayed. Like we felt that connection.
We're glad you're here.
Baldy!
Again,
Baldy!
man. Props to Baldy.
The hero.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything, guys. That was a lot of fun. We'll break it down, though. I'm going to go. Honestly, I believe this. I have this. Literally, I couldn't sleep last night, and I knew the video was going to be slow. They're always slow getting out of the town, out of Super Bowl City. But I honestly don't believe the Eagles blitzed one time last night. And I don't think they ran one stunt.
Yeah.
I think it was a straightforward. Remember a couple weeks ago, cuz I said that the way, because of the mobile quarterbacks, it's changing the way teams are rushing.
Yeah.
And I said you got to be a cage match.
Cage
Match. And I honestly believe the Eagles know that too. And that's why Mahomes really couldn't escape last night.
No.
Like there was no escape routes. If you run a tackle or an end tackle stunt and they saw it off, there's an edge to go run. And so if you run tackle and twist and you don't and you don't get home, there's an opening up the middle. And Mahomes feels that. And I felt like last night was steel cage match rushing. And I feel like that's what teams need to study. And I think Clinton Hurt, the defensive line coach, knows that. And I feel like if that's true, it's just a hypothesis. But if I'm right about it, I believe this is like the formula going forward in this business.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I remember when you said it. I thought you were spot on with it. And you saw it. He could not get free. Mahomes is a magician. That's what he does, right? He gets free, but he put him in the cage instead of him being the lion tamer or the lion tamer. He was the lion, right? Yeah. He was the guy being tamed.
Yeah.
I
it's just a hypothesis. Yeah. I'll share it with you tomorrow because what I see.
I love it. We'll talk to you then.
Okay, buddy.
Great stuff,
Yep.
brother.
Yeah.
Baldy.
Hey, real quick, because do they know when? Have they made the announcement for the parade yet?
Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah.
You
All right,
joining
buddy.
us? You coming out?
I could be on an island someplace on Friday.
I can see him with a
Come on,
drink.
let the fans pay homage to you. Come out to the Parkway.
He needs to celebrate.
Maybe
that
I'll climb a
sword.
light pole. Maybe I'll climb a light pole. Man. All right.
Love you, brother.
I'll see you guys, man. Enjoy.
The best, man. The best. Baldy.